We are going to pick up reading where we left off from page 19. Almost there. Great. Many colonial merchants refused to buy British goods. Pamphlet writers roared. Preachers thundered from their pulpits. Angry members of an organization called the Sons of Liberty stripped royal office holders naked and covered them with hot tar and goose feathers. They used to hot tar and feather folks in Great Britain too in those days. A mob completely wrecked the home of the royal governor of Massachusetts. A straw dummy dressed to look like a stamp distributor was hung from a 120-year-old elm tree, and the British tax stamps that Americans were supposed to buy were burned in every colony. By the time the Stamp Act was supposed to go into effect in November of 1765, flags were being flown at half-mast to mourn the death of liberty. Nobody in America would even distribute the stamps. 4 months later, hoping to restore peace, Parliament finally gave up and got rid of the hated taxes. This troubled King George, who still thought the taxes were fair, but he signed the repeal anyway. British merchants were delighted to get their last lost customers back, and all of America celebrated. Well, the story could have ended right there, but of course, it didn't. To show they weren't afraid to tax the colonists, Parliament started demanding even more taxes. Patriot leaders in Massachusetts and Virginia made polite protests to the king, but politeness didn't help one bit. King George believed that God gave noblemen like him the divine right to rule and that the colonists had a duty to obey. The British stubbornly informed legislators in both colonies that they couldn't have any more meetings, so the colonists stopped trying to be polite. The Virginians, including George Washington, met anyway and banned the sale of all items taxed by Great Britain. Colonists smuggled in untaxed goods from other countries, which was illegal, and they made lots of their own goods instead of buying British ones. A women's group called the Daughters of Liberty supported the cause by weaving their own cloth, making their own ball gowns, and brewing their own Liberty tea out of sassafras flowers. King George was sure that certain gentlemen who pretended to be patriots in Massachusetts were no more than criminals. So he sent a fleet of warships to Boston to make them behave. 700 soldiers wearing fancy uniforms soon paraded up Boston streets with muskets on their shoulders. Whenever they were off, many stole, got drunk, and chased women. Some also infuriated worshippers by purposely racing horses, beating drums, and gambling under church windows on Sundays. In March 1770, an angry mob of American rowdies started taunting 8 of King George's soldiers, pelting them with icy snowballs. Then, someone threw a lump of wood at a redcoat and knocked him flat. The enraged troops began firing into the crowd, and 5 colonists were killed. Furious Sons of Liberty were quick to label this disaster the Boston Massacre, and it stirred up plenty of anger on both sides. All right, we are finished with that chapter. Be sure to look at the questions and answers